7 o'clock. So officially, I'm calling the meeting to order, and there will be no agenda adjustments tonight, and this meeting is being audio taped. I'd like to ask for a motion to suspend the regular meeting for now and open a public hearing on the fiscal year 2022 budget and waive the reading of the public.
So
So
moved.
moved.
I second by Dan and Whitman.
Motion.
Rockland.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Would anyone care to comment on the fiscal 22 budget proposal? Hearing, like I said, I can't see if anyone else is there, but hearing none, I'd then ask for a motion to close the public hearing and return to the regular meeting agenda.
So
Make the
moved.
motion.
Situate.
Nope. Hanson, second.
Question?
Any discussion?
Yes. There's a gentleman from Rockland on there. I don't know if he was pretending, if he had a question on it. That's why he was attending the meeting. Doug?
If I may interrupt, this is Crystal. Doug, if you would like to speak, you can use the raise hand feature at the bottom middle of your screen, and I will allow you to speak.
Doug just put in the chat that he's just listening.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, I have none of that on my screen at this time, so. Where were we? Motion to close the hearing?
Motion.
Okay, second by
Hanson?
Hanson. Any discussion on that?
Nope.
Anyone opposed? And all in
No.
favor? rather?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. The motion carries. We're now going back to our regular meeting agenda. Okay, in our packets, we were given quite a few sets of minutes. I ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
I move we accept all the minutes as listed.
Second by Whitman.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Is the student representative Faith Ryan there?
No, she is not.
Okay, thank you. Reports. Jim, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your package, we have the monthly treasury report for December 31st. As you can see on the cover, we've got a couple basketball teams that are in action. The boys are actually, if you hear some buzzers, the boys are actually playing tonight here in the gym. Close game against Westport. They were 1-point game at halftime when I checked in, but things are going well. So the basketball programs are both up and running, so they're on the cover this one. Second page is our cash balances and all of the, again, the balances through December 31st. Total operating accounts, about $6.8 million. We've got 771 in our OPEB account. One of the new things that, again, spreading the wealth around the communities. In December, and we opened up a new account over at the Coastal Heritage Bank, which is based out of Situate, in an effort to again, community-based. We have banks and pretty much, we have money in all the community banks now, from Abington, Rockland, Whitman, and so forth. So yeah, everything's good cash-wise. So that's the cash balances. The third page is our revenues for the month of December. Again, very quiet. All of our assessments were done in November. And we received pretty much the Chapter 78 that we get every month, $370,000. And everything else is going well. We're still, you know, getting, again, with the Zoom, we don't expect payment right away from a lot of the towns that we do, especially the out-of-district towns. only because of the way the warrant process works within the town. So a couple towns still owe us their first half of the money, but everything's on track. There's no issues with that stuff. So overall, our revenue for the month was only $372,000. In the final page is our expenditures for the month. A little over $1.2 million was spent. I believe December was a 3 payroll cycle where we get paid every 2 weeks. So there was a little over $1 million in payroll during the month of December, which is, again, a normal process. Other than that, everything is going along smoothly. Health insurance is about 100,000 as it is, again, every month. And again, there's no big surprises with what's going on in the process. Everything's being done managed well. Janine, who's been here just almost a year now in our payables department, she took over for Sylvia. She's been doing a fantastic job. And of course, Trisha's doing all the payroll and grants and so forth, and she's doing a great job too. So I'm lucky to have a great staff here to process everything. So that is the monthly treasurer's report.
Eastern Massachusetts a little
bit
toward and it might get a coating to an inch and make things.
I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
So move, Whitman.
Norwell, second by
Whitman.
Whitman. Any discussion on the treasurer's report?
How it feels by midnight tomorrow night.
Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Budget transfers, Jim.
Yeah, we've got a couple. We've got some custodial supplies of $10,000 and adding as well 20,000 to the software licenses and renewals. And again, we've moving that from the identified savings from our electricity account. So a total of 30,000 in transfers, custodial supplies and licenses, and then taking it out of electricity. So.
Okay. Norwell made the motion, second by
Hanson,
Hanson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Chairman, I have nothing tonight, nothing from the chairman. Subcommittees. Capital Project Subcommittee met last week and we're making progress on the window project. Hopefully we'll go out to bid within a month so we can replace the windows this year. Next to Tom, Superintendent Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to start off with a budget update for fiscal '22. I want to thank Jim for once again making such quick work on short notice to provide you with some information. As we know, we delay our January school committee meeting so that we can see what governor's proposed budget looks like, because that will yield the numbers that matter most of all, which is how the town assessments will break out. As you know, the overall budget proposal was a 1.89% increase. So for the benefit of those who might not have the document that which the ink is not even dry, I will.
Sure it is.
Or it's a PDF. It's not. Yeah, there you go. The assessment numbers break down as follows. The increase, I'll just go in alphabetical order. So with the assumption of our Chapter 70 was nearly level funded compared to last year based on the governor's budget. We made similar assumptions for regional transportation. And as we have done in the last few years, a stabilization transfer for our bus lease. That is the anticipated revenue. When you factor that in, we're looking at the following. Abington's assessment would be lowered by $3,552, a total of $1,290,113. Hassett's assessment would be lowered by $17,648, total of $144,719. Hanover's assessment would increase by $158,280. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to walk that back. The differential is correct, but I'm reading from the wrong line. Let me start back with Abington, please. Abington was down by the amount I quoted, 3,552. Their assessment would be 1,286,561. Again, Cohasset's number would go down by 17,648, and their new total assessment would be 127,071. Hanover's assessment would increase by $158,280, an amount total of $886,330. Hanson's assessment would increase by $98,371 to a total of $1,233,791. Norwell's assessment would increase by $49,569 to a total of $521,660. Rockland's assessment would increase by $125 to a total of $1,833,991. Situate's assessment would decrease by $14,647 to a number of $576,166. And last, Whitman's assessment would increase by $36,855, total of $1,660,531. But thanks for listening to all those numbers. I would offer that, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to,
Whitney's number's different.
yeah, the numbers are, the second email that came through had the number that Tom was reading off of. There was a little glitch with the spreadsheet, but overall, we're looking for $8,026,101 from our local towns. In your package, I added the final page. Usually the final page is actually the snapshot of what DESE sends us as far as their minimum contributions for the towns, and we use that as the baseline for we get the minimum contribution, and then we build off that by again within the body of these numbers. We add in the debt numbers, which is zero, the capital allocations along with the transportation allocations as well. But it all bases upon the minimum contribution. The final page of the report tonight, I've added another report that DESE is embedded into their main spreadsheet, and it's pretty much just a comparison of what the minimum contribution is from each town for fiscal 21 and fiscal 22. So a lot of that, what happens is that when you look at it, Doug Laps here would bring Rockland into the discussion. Rockland's allocation this year has gone up $125. But the last page, when the state does all of their configuration of numbers that take into consideration the income tax that Rockland residents pay, the value of Rockland real estate, and all these calculations that Bob Kelly used to talk about. There's only one guy in the state that actually knows how to calculate it. Once they do all of those configurations, they give us the minimum contribution. So Rockland's contribution is only going up to 125, but when the state gives us their number, Rockland's minimum contribution went up by $32,000. So they're actually getting a little bit of a break from the allocation of all the other expenses along the way. And then one other factor that, as Tom was talking about the revenue, as always, we take the non-resident tuition as a number that we collect it in year one, and then we apply it against the assessments for year two to save the town some money. And what's happened over the last few years, we haven't really asked for any more money from the town the last few years. The town's assessments have been pretty, they've actually, one year they went down by 50,000. So they've been going down because we have a larger enrollment of non-resident students. 4 years ago, we had, our enrollment for in-district students were 607. Then it went down to 581. Then it went down to 541. And now it has come back up to 561. So this was a couple year dip. And what happens then? Our enrollment in the school stays the same. So we're bringing in a lot of out of district students. So what's happening now is it's reversed it a little bit. We got 20 more students in the school that are in district than we had last year. So obviously any cost allocation would be borne a little bit more by by our member towns. So overall, it's a great, I think that the numbers are fair. Everything looks good based upon the calculation. The towns that are getting hit, Hanover and Hanson, that have the largest increases. Hanover had a big jump in their number of students. They went from 40 students to 51 students, so they had a jump. And Hanson also, they had a big jump as well, but a lot of their increase was $98,000, but their minimum contribution increase based upon the last page was 117. So again, the state's telling us that we need to charge Hanson more. It has nothing to do with Chris or anybody at Hanson. We love Hanson. But again, it's all the state numbers that we build our foundation on. So that's just a little background and insight into the way the calculations are done. So, and anybody has any questions, we can tackle them.
Thanks, Jim. That helped.
Thanks, Jim.
Tom, do you have anything else on that?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Jim. That the numbers lay out the way they are. This is what we'll be forwarding to all of our towns. And just to wrap up on the budget report, I've reached out to all of our communities, looking to set up meetings ideally in mid-February to early March. In the hopes of talking about FY22 budget and also the debt authorization item, which will be a little bit later in the agenda. Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll if there's nothing else on those numbers, just quickly move on to the next item.
I just have one question. Tom, did Jim say that we have not gone up in the out-of-district tuition in years?
Over the last few years, the non-resident tuition has increased, and now it is coming down. So going into fiscal 22, receipts we're collecting right now will be lower than the previous year. Jim, I don't know if you want to expand on that a bit.
Yeah, so what's happening is that right now in this fiscal year, we're going to collect $1.5 million in out-of-district tuition, which we will apply it against next year's assessment. Now, Bobby, question was about the tuition we charge. The tuition we charge is set by the state. We have no control over that. So they come out every year and say, every district will charge a different amount, and based upon whatever calculation, we charge all of our out-of-district towns pretty much the same amount of money. So, and there is some add-ons for special ed costs and so forth. But so that's just the fact that the enrollment has gone down on the out-of-district students. And again, on the front page, last year we had 97 students out of district, and this year we have 85. So we've gone down where our in-district students have gone up by 20. We've lost 12 out of district. And that's just a function of the freshman class coming in, that I don't think we accepted any out of district freshmen this year. I think they were all in-district students. The popularity of the program and and everything that all of her staff do. So. Which is great. So.
Thanks, Jim.
If I may, I believe that the state tells us what we have to charge for out of district.
Right.
So we have no control over that.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
That's correct. Just before I continue, just for technical reasons, if you're not talking, would you mind just muting just to minimize the background noise?
Kind of lingered in the morning, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just move on to the next item that I have, which is just to give you an update on the MSBA senior study meeting.
Very good. Thank you, Tom.
The MSBA has received our.
And in Braintree, at least one vehicle was involved in a crash.
I'm sorry, Bob.
To 93.
I didn't
There
say
you are.
anything.
Oh, sorry. The MSBA has received our statement of interest from 2020, and they're a bit backlogged processing their statements of interest. We were invited to participate in what they called a senior study, which included staff members from the MSBA and a consultant that they used to help review the statements of interest. Make it very clear, go out of their way to make it clear that the fact that they would like to talk to us in a little more depth does not mean that we're going to be getting a note in a few months saying you're invited into the program. I can tell you factually that, and what I'm saying is not private information, but what they shared with us is there were 71 such applications that were submitted. And we are one of 30 schools that's being reviewed. Of the 30 schools, there are some of them who recently participated in this senior study, which is just kind of it's a deeper conversation about, has anything changed since you've applied? For some school districts that maybe had these meetings last year, weren't invited in, so they're not part of a senior study. We last had a senior study in 2017. Obviously, we weren't invited in at that point. Since they haven't talked to us directly in a few years, that was the purpose for the meeting. So I left the meeting feeling as though they were certainly interested to hear our updates. We went over where our space needs were. I talked about how the roof on the 1992 wing is showing increased stainage from when we have some pretty severe weather. We have a significant repair we're going to need to make on a student bathroom. By and large, the story that we've been telling them is the same, and everything's a year older. So I would anticipate next time we will hear an update from MSBA will either be in March, where they will say that they will let us know that we're likely to be invited, or perhaps in May. Not sure whether they have quarterly board meetings. So they will either go to their April or June board meeting with recommendations for school districts that they're going to invite. As we know, even though it would be well worth celebrating us getting invited after years of attempting, MSBA project takes a long time. And so it would not be anything immediate. It certainly would be a step in the direction that we'd all like. Can I answer any questions on that?
No, we've been there once before, haven't we?
Yeah, Groundhog Day, yes. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll just continue.
Please do, Tom.
I'm moving ahead with a book called The One-Page Marketing Plan for a marketing course that we're working on with students. And lastly, I'll turn it over to Sandy Ballner, who will provide you with an update on school happenings.
Okay.
Great. I'll start right there with the reason why we are using a new book called The One-Page Marketing Plan, because I am grateful that we are able to bring most of our students who are remote learners back to instruction with our teachers. So we currently have 25 students who are remote for academics, or fully remote, and most of them will take the predominance of their classes with South Shore Tech teachers, including their vocational courses. So we've supplemented their academic program of study with a vocational engineering course and a marketing course. They will still take one more course to round out their schedule with our online learning platform, Edgenuity, but we are all thankful to have our students under the umbrella of South Shore Tech for most of their courses. We have 4 students returning to South Shore Tech in seat. So that's exciting too. It tells us that we have built a rapport and comfort with families that is allowing students to return even in the middle of the winter. So all things going well there. In fact, I just left a parent meeting with a handful of parents talking to them about the semester 1 to 2 transition, and they are all very grateful for the work of our educators and staff. So all is well there. Next update is in regard to recruitment. We have just started doing scheduled tours with in-district students. So if you have a family that you're aware of in town who has an 8th grader, we do ask that it's 8th graders at this point who has applied and they're interested in a tour, please reach out to Amy Dow or take a look on our website and we can schedule a tour on Fridays. I'm the 1 o'clock tour if you're interested. And you're welcome to join, in fact, happy to take you around. And we will be moving on to first round of admissions in about a month. Just a couple other real quick updates. You can hear my family preparing dinner in the background, I think. Family. We have 2 more quick things that we are returning to our wellness schedule and next semester. So right after February vacation, kids will start having gym again. We have been very lucky in how we've been able to use our gym space, and our students, as part of their physical labor, is moving desks back and forth, but we are able to provide gym to students in 2nd semester. We're excited about that. And I will end by saying that we are offering coffee this month and breakfast next month through our culinary curriculum to staff as a thank you, to provide them with curricular opportunities to serve breakfast since the brass lanterns are closed, and an opportunity to thank them. So that is enough for me. Mic off.
Sounds good.
Thanks. Thank you, Sandy. I'll just punctuate a couple of time-sensitive things. We were talking just before the meeting started that we don't have any immediate updates yet on vaccine. We're all following the news together. We know where K-12 educators are. I'll be joining a group of superintendents and likely union presidents from our region, from the South Shore area, to send a letter to the governor asking that this be a priority, and we'll keep you updated on that. And then with regard to Sandy's comments on recruitment, I do have to thank all of the folks that are being very nimble with our recruitment process. We currently have over about 237 rising ninth grade applications.
Wow.
So despite everything with families and with school and communication, everyone's pulling together to make that work. And I'm very pleased with that. Our admissions process is slightly delayed, largely because our sending schools, as you might remember, everybody started a little later. So when we are looking for the mid-year report cards in grade 8, everything's a little bit later. So we anticipate, as Sandy said, at the end, last week of February, first week of March, we'll be going through a couple of rounds of admission. So I'm very pleased with how that is going. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I may end up taking the baton back from you in a moment, but that ends my report.
Okay, any unfinished business? And Tom, that's you for debt authorization.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just, again, at the risk of being repetitive, but I do think it's important. We are probably closing in within the next couple of months of wanting to officially have the committee address an eventual recommendation from the capital project subcommittee on a debt authorization. And if you bear with me, this would be a request that we would be asking for approval from all 8 of our towns at each spring town meeting to be given the ability to borrow up to a sum of money, the purpose for which is to, by and large, address the capital needs in our facilities master plan, which you are well aware of. What we are working on is a rationale that takes all of the existing recommendations, and this is a document that we put together with a firm back in 2018, looking at all the remaining recommendations, adjusting them for inflation by about 4% a year, and then reducing some of those costs based on things that our own students can do, things that we are fitting into this fiscal year's budget, and smaller items that we could probably fit into future capital budgets. And I'll give you a quick example. As you know, window project, which is the signature capital item in this year's proposed budget, something that's in the facilities master plan, but we would expect to cover the costs for that as part of a fiscal 22 expenditure. Rationale that we will be bringing to our towns when we talk to advisory and finance committees is that we're now at the point that there are capital projects that we simply cannot sustain within capital budget. This year's capital budget, with the numbers that Jim put together, is based on $895,000, of which $760,000 is the window project. We all feel on some level that math just wouldn't work if all of a sudden we try to shoehorn in $2 million of capital in 1 year, do a roof or do something with fire suppression. So that is the rationale for looking at debt authorization. The other part of the debt authorization recommendation would include some funding that we could target for renovation and addition. And the case that I'll make to this point, which I'm very proud to be able to say, is that we want to be able to, before asking or seeking to just build on 5,000 or 10,000 square feet, we want to make sure we're using our existing space to the best ability possible. Shops that need more space based on their student demand and curriculum, we need to invest some funds to maybe reallocate some space. We all know that even though MSBA won't knock on our door immediately, we need to make some strategic improvements. And so when all is said and done, the range that we're looking at right now is around $17.7 million. And that takes into account recommendations adjusted for inflation, taking out some offsets, what our own staff and students could do, having some funds available for renovation and expansion. Is not, unlike past borrowing, where sometimes, you know, in 2010, we sought authorization for a $3 million roof project. We borrowed half of that and the MSBA took care of the other half. It was one borrowing all at once, one project. This is asking our towns to give authorization, a bundle. It gives us flexibility going forward, prioritize projects, decide what we need to borrow, and then hopefully, in my mind, at some point, if MSBA invites us, we can reevaluate where we stand in the list of all the projects that we have. The way that the state statute works is that when a regional school committee votes to incur debt, notice must be provided to our member communities, boards of selectmen within 7 days. The towns have 60 days in which to take action if they choose to do so. If a town takes no action after the 60-day window, it's considered an affirmative vote or approval. If a town does take action, it would be a majority vote. What we want to do is position this vote so that it would very conveniently and transparently fall within the town meeting window for our communities. So I may be recommending later on, you know, depending on where the town meetings are falling, that we might vote this perhaps at a March meeting or maybe a special meeting that we can try to be all inclusive, being very sensitive to town. The best information we have as to when a town is setting their town meeting. So anyway, I appreciate you listening to that. I know for those of you that have been on previous calls, you've heard this before. So at some point, we have the shell of the warrant article, and it would simply be wanting to review this with all of you, that we would bring you a full committee exact number, then ask for discussion and a vote on that. Could I answer any questions or just stop talking and allow others to comment?
Any discussion on that matter? I think we're all
Mr.
set,
Chairman.
Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve the donations of a Dodge Durango and some tools, miscellaneous tools and supplies.
Motion.
So moves, Situate, second.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Then we have surplus requests. Do I have a motion to surplus the items as listed?
So moved, Situate.
Second.
Noel.
Noel, okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to point out for Jim's benefit, George was able to join the meeting, and he just wanted to note he was voting in the affirmative for the last two motions as well.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd ask for a motion on the warrants. Do we have warrants?
We do. We have
Okay.
warrants. We have warrant 12, 12A, 13, 14, and 14A, totaling $1,221,000, 221. Okay, let's start this over. Bob Mahoney does a much better job than I do. $1,221,631.49.
So moved, Situate.
Okay, seconded by? I don't think Jim,
Rockman?
okay,
Rockman.
Rockland. Any discussion on the warrants? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Is there any request for action tonight? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Whitman?
Where is he?
Where is he?
He's
I'm waiting
muted.
for-
Dan, you're muted.
Okay, somebody else jump on it.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
That's it, Chris. Jump right in there.
come on, Chris. And Norwell seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was muted, sorry.
No, it was a pleasure.
Just broke a 15-year streak.
Yeah, really, no kidding.
Jack Manning, that's a nice backyard.
You like that? That's
Motion
Concord Bridge.
The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
all.
Thank you. Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Crystal.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Welcome.
everybody.
Take care, guys.
Bye,
Thank you,
Sandy.
Crystal.